you should get on up there and get that recorded. Well, there's one right up front here.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Cecil County Patriots meeting. My name is Donna Colnell, and I'm on the steering team. This is Outreach, who's on the steering team, and Jackie Gregory, and there's Kathy O'Connell on the steering team as well. And if anybody didn't get any snacks, there's cake, coffee, desserts over here. Help yourself sodas. And I just want to go through a couple things, and then we'll turn things over to the speaker. If we can all stand and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we can all remain standing, Stephen England is going to lead us in a word of prayer. Which Stephen? Okay.
Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together tonight. Have come out, that you would guide us and give us wisdom and strength in the days ahead as we work to preserve the rights that you have given to us. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Okay, you can all be seated. Okay, one thing I just wanted, for new people, we have a lot of new faces, and I didn't prepare, but I just wrote something up. I'm going to pass around a sheet of paper. If anybody wants to get on our email list, you can do that. We also have a Patriot website, and we also have a Facebook website. I'm just going to pass this around with a pen. If you want to be on it, that's fine. If not, that's okay. And we also have a donation can over here. We have to pay for the room every month, so if you are interested in contributing, we appreciate it. And we also are taking up a collection for our speaker tonight, Marilyn Shell Issue. All right, and I did leave some pamphlets on the table. There's brochures that tells a little bit about the Patriots. Now, okay, sorry. And there's also a date that we'd like everybody to show up at the county building. It's Tuesday, February 19th. There's some brochures on the table, and this is about the tier maps. All right, so there's information on the table. There's information on our website, and if you need any more information, you can contact us after, okay? And
good, Mike is here.
And as far as elected officials, we always like to recognize them. I believe we have one in the room. We have Councilman Alan McCarthy. I think that's all I have. Jackie, if you'd like to come up and introduce our speaker. Okay, thanks.
Well, I'd like to just welcome you all here tonight. I'm really excited to see such a big crowd here, and I encourage you all to get involved with us if you agree with what we're doing. We do have a website, www.cecilcountypatriots.com. I'm going to turn it over to our guest, George Durst from Maryland Shall Issue. We try to have speakers come in pretty frequently that deal with some of the issues that we're concerned with. And of course, as you know, O'Malley's pushing some really strict gun legislation, and we've heard it on the national scene as well. So he's going to share with us some of the things that are going on and what Maryland Shall Issue is doing. And I just give him a warm round of applause, please.
So as Jackie said, I'm George Durst with Maryland Shall Issue. Just a little background on us. We've been around, I don't even know how long, because it started as a relatively loose organization and has evolved over time to the more organized form that we have today. Our primary issue has always been, as the name indicates, Shall Issue, trying to get good concealed carry laws in Maryland. We've been fighting for that since at least the early 80s, perhaps earlier than that. But we found ourselves embroiled in a lot of other Second Amendment controversies, especially lately. Everything was going well up until December 14th when the Sandy Hook. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So everything was going pretty well for us in terms of concealed carry in Maryland until the Sandy Hook shooting happened December 14th. We had a court case in Maryland, the Woolard case that you may be familiar with, that the federal judge in Maryland said the Second Amendment is really all you need to carry a gun. There's no other reason that you need. And Maryland, of course, has always been may issue. They want you to have a good and substantial reason Your life is not good enough, only your money or your narcotics or your goods are good enough. So then the Sandy Hook shooting happened, and of course it seems that they had these pieces of legislation sitting in their desk drawers for years. They dusted them off and put them on the table, and now they're looking to ban all kinds of things and restrict our Second Amendment rights. Senate Bill 281 is what the governor proposed, and there's a lot of things in this bill that really should disturb just about everybody. The one that's garnered the most attention has been the assault weapons ban. And of course, assault weapons is really a misnomer and a double pejorative as well. It sounds horrible. It's an assault weapon. It's meant to kill and attack people. The definition of an assault weapon is one that can shoot multiple bullets with a single pull of the trigger. Some of you may own one, but most probably don't. What we own generally are modern sporting rifles, semi-automatic rifles, which aren't really significantly different from hunting rifles, but they're scary looking. They look at several features on these things that scare them. They have now a one-feature test on what makes a rifle, or actually any long gun, an assault weapon. A pistol grip. If you have a turkey shotgun with a pistol grip on it, it is now an assault weapon. If you have a barrel shroud, which most people probably are familiar with if you're in the gun community. If you're not, you aren't. In fact, there was one very famous quote by, I think it was a California representative. They asked her what a barrel shroud was. She said, "I think it's the shoulder thing that goes up." Barrel shroud goes over the barrel in case you shoot a lot of rounds to keep you from burning your hand. Doesn't really make it any more lethal, just looks scary. A flash hider, which really is kind of a misnomer. A flash suppressor is only useful if you're shooting in the dark. Even then, it's probably not all that useful. As you know, if you shoot a hunting rifle without a flash suppressor, you get the big flash on the end. Most of us shoot during the day, so don't really notice it. If you watch the movies, you see the nice star pattern when the people are shooting their M16s, and that's about the extent of what a flash suppressor does. So it doesn't make it any more lethal again. It doesn't make it any more concealable. Just makes it scary looking. Collapsible.
The Second Amendment's for, it's not for hunting.
You're exactly right.
All the time is hunting stuff.
I'm going to touch on that in a minute. Yeah. Because I get annoyed with that as well.
It doesn't annoy me. It's not. It's to protect my rights.
It absolutely is.
A well-regulated militia. It's not hunting.
No question. And the militia is a poorly understood term as well.
It's not the Army.
It's not the Army.
Well, the Constitution.
No,
there was no Army.
No question. And they didn't want an Army.
That's your sheriff department and your deputy. And that's citizens.
It's us. It's not even the sheriff's department and deputies. It's us. By federal law, every man between 17 and 45 is a member of the militia. The militia was meant to be men that came from their homes, brought their own weapons, and defended the country.
Protect us from tyrants.
Exactly.
People
foreign and domestic. No question. The Second Amendment rights of hunters, you hear these guys in Annapolis talk about all the time. I'm for the Second Amendment rights of hunters. They don't have any. You can ban hunting, and the Second Amendment hasn't been violated, in my opinion. Some people may beg to differ. The guns aren't to scare deer; they're to scare politicians. Sorry, Council.
We're here now.
Sorry, see, you moved.
You need to scare me.
He's a moving target.
He's getting closer to the smiley face.
Fair enough. Anyway, the collapsible stocks too, they want to ban. Why? They don't know. They haven't the foggiest idea. Other things that are going to make your gun an assault weapon, if it accepts a magazine more than 10 rounds, now going to be an assault weapon. Isn't that wonderful? How many? Yes.
I got them all.
Right?
I got them all.
They're going to want you to register them. And I'll get to that too.
You won't be able to afford it.
What? Well, there you
You
go.
will not be able to afford it.
They don't care. They could care less.
We can get them out of office.
Let's hope. So there's the assault weapons. They're going to ban. They want to limit magazine capacity to 10 rounds because apparently we don't need any more than 10 rounds to shoot deer.
I want to limit their drones.
I think you should.
I think we should limit their drones.
If we would, let's save questions and comments until he's done.
Nobody needs any more than 10 rounds to defend their family, do they? There was a woman in Georgia recently, you may have heard about it. She and her 2 kids ended up in the attic. She, thank God, had a handgun. She shot the assailant 5 times. She hit him in the chest, in the face, and he walked out, got in his car and drove away. She hit him with a .38 special plus P home defense or personal defense rounds. These are impressive rounds. It's not target ammunition. He still walked away. They often argue, well, why do you need these extended magazines? They call them extended magazines. They're actually standard capacity magazines. They're only for the police. Who do the police encounter? Police encounter the same people we encounter. Who encounters them first? We do. We usually call the police to report a crime or report an incident, and they come out and encounter the exact same people we've just encountered. It's really a mess. They also are talking about ammunition logs. Logging every ammunition purchase that you make, as if that will stop any crime. There was a gentleman that spoke yesterday, and some of you were at the hearing for the Senate bill. You may have heard him speak. He was a former DC police officer, was living in Maryland. He had been going to his local gun store, hadn't shot in many years, had some guns that he hadn't registered in Maryland, which is fine, it's optional. And he bought several different calibers of ammunition that he hadn't had a registered gun in Maryland for. Well, after a few months, one night he was sitting in his easy chair, his wife was laying tile, and a SWAT team came to his house. They surrounded the house, came to the screen door. He wisely put the dog in the basement because apparently the mayor's dog had been shot 2 weeks before, and went to the door, asked them what they wanted. The police ended up in the house. They told him that he had bought ammunition that he didn't have any registered firearms for. He said it wasn't against the law. They agreed. Their comments upon leaving were, "We're sorry to have harassed you."
Where was that? I mean, was it in Maryland?
It was in Maryland. This particular gentleman, he used to be a Virginia resident, lived in Maryland for a while. Yesterday, he gave his testimony, got in a moving van and went to Texas. Because he couldn't take the Maryland rules anymore. So they're looking at that.
Doesn't like communism. Doesn't like communism.
Not so dissimilar. Yeah. It's for the children.
Oh, yeah. Ask Stalin. He killed 9 million. It's a lot more than what Hitler did.
Absolutely. But these are the kinds of things we're up against. A lot of the politicians feel like they have to do something. So they're going to do whatever comes down the line. They don't care what kind of impact it has. They're not gun people. They don't understand. They don't shoot. They don't care. They say, hey, you'll be able to hunt. It'll be fine. You can still deer hunt. You can still kill ducks. You don't need to worry about home defense. Joe Biden says you can get yourself a shotgun. That'll work. That's all you need. So yesterday, I know you were there because I saw you there, and maybe a couple of other people were there. We had the Senate subcommittee hearing on this. We had 4,000 people show up. Yep, that was according to the Capitol Police. We had the best behaved crowd they had ever seen. Wasn't a single arrest. The Lawyers Mall, where we had a rally, was cleaner when we left it than when we got there. There wasn't a piece of trash left on the ground. People stood in line for hours to sign up to testify. There were no problems. Nobody yelled obscenities. Nobody got angry. At the end of the night, there were hundreds of people that were not allowed to testify because they shut down the hearing. Again, no obscenities, no complaining. People were allowed to walk up to the podium, voice their opposition, and leave. The Capitol Police actually thanked us for being the best crowd they'd ever had. We were also the largest crowd they'd ever had. They had to shut down the Capitol building, or the Senate building, because we had reached fire capacity. They'd never done that. It was really a good turnout. So we're not done. This bill is very, very likely to pass. We just don't have the support on the Senate committee, the Judiciary Committee. There are a bunch of gun grabbers. There are other bills coming. I can't quote the names of the bills at this time because I haven't committed them to memory. Our focus has been this SB 281 since it came out, but they break it up into its component parts. Assault weapons ban, magazine capacity, They want to do micro-stamping of ammunition, which is a technology that doesn't really exist, where every bullet has an identifying mark on it so they can track you down. And if we're the only state doing it, how is that going to solve crime? Most of the crime is committed with stolen guns, probably with stolen ammunition. It's only going to affect the law-abiding citizens like you and me. So we need as many people as we can get to be involved in this. There's going to be more hearings. The Senate is going to hear things, I believe, on March 5th again. They always have a gun day. They hear bills of the same topic on the same day. The House is going to hear it on March 1st. We'll try and get more information out to you as we get confirmation on that. But we're going to try and fight this as much as we can. The gun groups in Maryland have traditionally not worked well with each other. There's always been egos involved. There's always a slightly different idea of what should be done. But right now, everybody's working together. Us, the Associated Gun Clubs of Baltimore, Maryland State Rifle and Pistol Association, and for the first time in I don't know how long, the NRA's made an appearance and has been involved with us. They've done a lot more behind the scenes because in the Senate and the House in Maryland, NRA is a 4-letter word, but they've been there and they've done a lot. I think it's important to give them some credit. So, like I said, we'll keep you guys updated on what's going on with this. And hopefully we'll be able to fight it as best we can. If we can't fight it in the legislature, we're going to fight it in the courts. The attorney that we've spoken with, you may have heard of, is Alan Gura. He is the man that heard the Heller case and the McDonald case, the 2 landmark Second Amendment cases that said the Second Amendment is in fact an individual right. He's a great legal mind in the Second Amendment arena, and hopefully we'll be successful as time goes on with that. Can I answer any questions? Yes, sir.
I was down there yesterday in Annapolis.
Good, thanks for coming.
A couple of questions. So I haven't read this whole draft, the whole bill, which is like 30, 40. I haven't been able to get a copy of the other, just a summary. So here's a couple of questions.
Sure.
One, I have a lot of magazines. Like, in fact, the other day I inventoried them. I have like close to 100.
Right.
And I have like 70 that are 30 rounds. What am I supposed to do with those?
We're not like, it's not going to be a bill like New York. You'll still be able to keep them.
So I'll be able to keep all my existing magazines?
You'll be able to keep all of your existing magazines, and in fact, there's no law on banning possession, so you can still go to Pennsylvania and Virginia and buy 30-round magazines like you've been doing today. They're just going to reduce the capacity that you can buy in Maryland to 10.
Well, how's that fight crime then?
Right.
My other question is, are you familiar with the H-bar, the heavy barrel, AR-15s?
The H-bar will become an assault weapon.
Okay,
because they're
I have
going
an
to a
AR-15
one-feature test.
H-bar. When I bought it, it was an unregulated gun.
Correct.
And it still is as of the moment. But okay, so if this thing was to pass,
right?
Now what's the deal then on the H-bars? Are they going to still be excluded, or?
No, they'll now be an assault weapon.
Okay, so
they're going. The H-bar, they looked at a 2-feature test. They looked at pistol grip, detachable magazine, flash hider, bayonet lug, and you had to have 2 of those in order to be, or more than 2 in order to be an assault weapon. And they removed the bayonet lug and flash hider from the H-bar, I believe, at least the Colt Sportsters they did. But yeah, the H-bar will now become an assault weapon. They'll ask you to register it. This is another important thing, actually, that I forgot to touch on. Registration of your assault weapon, which it may include some pistols. If you have a pistol with a threaded barrel for a suppressor, it may now become, or it will become an assault weapon. They will want you to register it. If you do not register it, it is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 3 years in prison. Oh. If you have a clearance, if you have any kind of license, you could lose that if you forget to register or if you didn't even hear about this. How are they going to tell everybody?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Right?
They should send out certified letters to everybody.
Ignorance is no excuse from the law, as they say. Yes, sir.
What is an H-bar?
An H-bar is a heavy barrel.
What distinguishes that from a standard AR-15?
Because it was considered a target rifle.
If you remove the handguards, the
right.
barrel will be heavy and uniform throughout. If you look at it,
you're saying it's not standard.
It is not a standard barrel, correct? It's a uniform.
Let me address that. The only difference between my AR-15 H-bar and another one that may, like an M4, you familiar with the M4
Sure.
configuration?
Sure.
The only difference between my H-bar, which is considered non-regulated in Maryland, and the M4 is that on the barrel, there's a little, little spot cut out to mount a grenade launcher. That is the only difference. If you take mine apart and the M4 apart, look at it, the barrels are the same, it's just that grenade launcher, which is silly because no one has a grenade launcher, but that's the only difference.
Not many.
But for some reason, the H-bar, because they were considered target rifles, because the barrels were like a bull barrel,
Okay.
they're viewed differently in Maryland. This is
Doesn't
another
make any
silly
sense.
Maryland law.
Yes, sir.
Why did they learn
What? Right. Well, bayonet crime's gone down considerably since World War II.
There are no bayonets
They don't know. They're scary. Yeah.
You were saying that you go to Pennsylvania or Virginia to buy a magazine, but in your earlier story where that guy went and purchased his ammunition
Right.
for a gun that he didn't buy there, if there was a way to trace it for that, wouldn't there be a way to trace it for the magazine?
The magazines are cash and carry, and nobody in Pennsylvania or Virginia is going to report you to Maryland.
Oh, but he bought the ammunition.
He bought ammunition, he signed a log, these are the calibers I'm buying, yeah, and the police looked at it. Yes.
If these bills, any of these bills pass, can we count on the NRA to come in and join in the litigation?
I think we can. Can I
I've been
say?
a member for 40 years.
Can I say that definitively? I can't, but are you familiar with the SAF, the Second Amendment Foundation?
No.
They've really forced the NRA to step up their game. Second Amendment Foundation has really been litigating Second Amendment cases, and they were responsible for the Heller and McDonald cases, which are the two. Heller was in D.C., where D.C. did not, you weren't allowed to have a handgun, and the D.C. court said, and the Supreme Court said, yes, you can have a handgun. It's in common use at the time. It's what everybody uses for self-defense. You can't prohibit that. McDonald was in Chicago, where Chicago had the same thing. That's who litigated that.
Why isn't the ACLU stepping in to defend this civil liberty?
Well,
Seriously.
the Second Amendment is the red-headed step amendment. It's different than all the people that are referred to in the Second Amendment are always different than those in the other amendments, aren't they? I don't know.
I mean, they
can't
defended the
answer that.
KKK years ago. Why aren't they defending the Second Amendment?
You got me. Yes, sir.
In SB 281, there's a area in there about transport, transportation.
Yeah.
Okay, so now as I understand it, it means that I can never leave the house with my AR-15.
That's
the range, not to anywhere, without a court order. A court order, you know,
No,
so these things are written, it's
Yeah.
difficult for me to understand, but it implies that they can ask you to take the gun to the local sheriff and unload it, and basically you're surrendering.
turn it in, correct.
Which is a workaround for confiscation. But I think of all of it, that was the part that kind of concerned me the most in terms of infringement.
That's a great question. He asked about in HB 281 with assault rifles, there's really no provision for transport. According to the law, if you read it to the letter, it doesn't appear that you're able to take it out of your house unless you have a court order which says to turn it in. The state assures us that you can certainly take it to and from the range and out of state, although it specifically says in the law you can't bring an assault rifle into the state. But we have their assurances. So take that for what you will, too. Yes, sir.
That Woolard case, when is that going to be, when is the decision going to come out on that?
Woolard, we're waiting. It was heard in the Fourth Circuit in October. Your guess is as good as mine. Our running joke is it'll be 2 weeks. We've been saying that for months.
But don't they have like terms like the Supreme Court? I mean,
they don't know.
There's no,
they don't have a specific
no time limit at all?
No, not for the circuit courts.
So
They
be
come
like
out
2
when they
years
feel
from
like
now,
it.
even?
Yeah. It's usually somewhere between 3 and 6 months for a decision. So, you know, we're looking at any time in the next month or two. We hope. So we'll see. Yes, sir.
I was another attendee at the legislative meeting yesterday.
Yes.
And first time I went to Annapolis, it was quite an eye-opener to see how things really work down there. One thing besides encouraging everybody here, if you really are serious about protecting your Second Amendment rights, belong to the NRA, but also consider MSI, Maryland State Rifle and Pistol. I mean, these are boots on the ground, grassroots people that are really get their hands dirty fighting these laws. Just to give you some idea what we're facing, what they're facing in the legislative session late in the evening, they were giving the pro-bill people a certain amount of time, then they'd switch to the opponents for a certain amount of time. And about 6 o'clock, we were sitting there, and it was our turn for the people who opposed the Senate Bill 281. I looked up, and the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Mr. Frosch, who is the author of a good many of these bills, had gotten up and left. He left. He wasn't listening. I mean, it kind of gives you an idea what the mindset of some of the people down there are. Don't confuse me with the facts. My mind's made up. You know, I'm not going to change my opinion. So it's, these guys need your help, folks. They need your help.
Frosch's mind will never be changed on this. He's a rabid anti-gunner. We've had video clips of him saying anybody that needs an assault rifle is crazy. He's drank the Kool-Aid. In fact, he probably is the manufacturer. He's hopeless. Some of the other ones, I don't know, we were hoping Senator Raskin was going to be someone we could sway. It doesn't appear that way. He was tweeting throughout the session last night, various anti-gun tweets, something must be done, etc. Interestingly, there's also a photograph of Senator Raskin playing chess on his computer during the hearings, which has been floating around. Yeah.
And they're supposed to work for us.
They work for us. Yes, sir.
Senator Raskin just happens to be lead sponsor on another bill, SB 623, Maryland Assault Weapons Ban of 2013.
Right.
That's coming up for hearing as well as the other things on March 5th.
Like I said, they took this mess of a bill in SB 281 and really chopped it up into component parts in case this one dies, all the parts still exist and they can get some of it through, is what they're hoping to do. It's a mess. But this bill, there were some town halls that the lieutenant governor and the commander of the state police had throughout the region. Interestingly, they were in Baltimore City and Montgomery County and Prince George's County. We had an awful lot more people show up than they did for their side. They had no idea what was in this bill. The lieutenant governor said, don't worry, this bill only addresses guns that fire more than one shot with a single pull of the trigger, or machine guns. He had the foggiest idea that we don't have machine guns. And it went on and on. They got taken to the cleaners, and they could care less. They weren't any more prepared at the next one. It's amazing how much apathy they have for
Why do you
it.
make the dumb comment like that? Couldn't you get that like on YouTube, and then for future court case say, see, here's what it means. The colonel already said so. It's only for machine guns.
We videotaped the last one, which was 2 days ago, and some of that should end up on YouTube. The mainstream media could care less.
No, I'm just saying, like a lawyer in the future could say,
sure.
The colonel's testimony is this is only for machine guns, so everybody with an AR-15 semi-auto is good to go.
But it's not what's in the bill.
It's not. But that's the official interpretation.
That's their interpretation,
for the
but
state
that's not what the bill says, and it's
well,
going to go by what the
I'm
bill
just
says.
trying to come up
Yeah.
with it.
Well, I've heard, so many times, like on the news, and they say, oh, the AR-15 most powerful rifle in the nation.
Oh, my
and I
God.
laugh because it's like, it's nothing but like a 22 on steroids.
Right.
You know, and it's ridiculous. And I think it was that Senate bill, what was it? Is it 481 or 4 something? It's about ammunition. If you commit a crime with certain ammunition, it's bad.
It's bad.
But this other ammunition, I guess, is okay.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Got a gentleman
you know,
now, right?
Yes, sir.
It's ridiculous.
I agree with what somebody was saying about get together and help each other with this thing. Just in time, right? Yeah. I think it's called the NAGR, National Association for Gun Rights down in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And there's one out in Oregon or Washington State. Citizens bear arms or something. Instead of fighting with each other to see who can do the most, why don't they pool everybody's resources?
That's what we've been trying. That's what we've done actually. After this mess last night, or actually it was a great day last night. I had dinner with the Associated Gun Clubs representative and the NRA representative, like we've done actually quite a few times over the last few weeks in Annapolis. We all get along. We're all working together. There are no egos involved. There's no I did more than you. Everybody's giving everybody credit and equal time.
The NAGR, Fredericksburg, Virginia, is nationwide, as is the outfit out in Oregon.
I think the NAGR we've been in touch with.
No response?
No, I think our president has spoken with them. I'm not sure where exactly we are in those talks, but Gun Owners of America we've spoken with. So there's a lot of organizations involved.
If you have a business card, I can email that stuff to you.
I meant to bring everything. I left it all in Annapolis last night. I got out of there after midnight last night, so I came unprepared, I'm afraid, but I can get stuff to you.
I believe there's a delegate here from Harford County. Do you have anything to add, sir, since you're on the front line?
Sorry, I'm late. I picked my son up. My name is Wayne Norman. I represent Harford County in the House of Delegates. Heard Ronnie Walker back there. I own guns. I got a CAR-15. I go up to Clarny Gun Club and shoot. I hunt. You know, there's a lot of people in Annapolis that like guns. There's a bunch down there that are scared to death of guns. They think that anybody that owns a Derringer must be a maniac. I've probably got more emails on the gun bill than anything else other than gay marriages, like the opposites, you know. What you should do, send emails to JPR, Judicial Proceedings. All you do is go to the Maryland General Assembly's website, go to the committees, send it to Judicial Proceedings, and every one of those guys is a direct contact. And there's a lot of people sending canned stuff. When you get 10,000 things that look the same, you just kind of speed through them. But if they're a little bit different and you read them, and if I get a guy from Rockville complaining about guns, I don't look at it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm looking for the people from Harford County and Cecil County. I don't care what they're doing in Silver Spring. I know how they're going to vote anyway, to be honest, you do too. But if you can concentrate, there's about 45 very conservative Republicans. It's not a partisan issue. John Astle, Senator Astle's a big game hunter. He goes all around the world hunting. Kevin Kelly up in Allegheny County is a Democrat. He doesn't want anybody messing with his guns. So it's not party line situation to the extent some bills are. I mean, anybody say it's not party lines, lying. But mostly if you're going to focus, if you're going to send letters, if you're going to call, if you're going to yell at somebody, call the liberal Democrats in Prince George's County. Every one of them is a liberal Democrat. There's no conservative Republicans in Prince George's County. Absolutely, positively the same thing for Montgomery County. There are no elected Republicans or conservatives in Montgomery County. In Baltimore City, you got about 5 of the 20 or so who care about guns. But the rest of them, I think they're fair game. And I would suggest you get on your computers and you call them. People listen to the phone calls. It's important. I never seen anything like yesterday down there. I was just knocked my socks off. I mean, we were just tickled to death that so many people came out. Last time I saw it was last year for the gay marriage, and we didn't want to go outside and protest with them. So, for what it's worth. You know, I've been down there 7 years and seeing all the clubs and stuff getting together, and you guys don't generally get along too good. So, this is a real good thing what's going on. It's solidifying rural America, rural Maryland, and just keep it up. I mean, just keep it up. They really don't have a clue, some of these guys. They think because a gun has a flash suppressor and it's dull paint, it's worse than an M1 Garand. You can shoot me with an AR-15 any day, but don't shoot me with an M1 Garand. But they don't consider that a scary weapon. It's not scary enough for them. So that's what they're worried about, is what's scary. And I tell you what, if somebody shoots you in the head with a Derringer, that's scary. I mean, any gun's going to kill you. They're just scared of looks. That's all. So, and I got a bunch of cards. Anybody wants to know how to get in touch with their delegate or senator, I'll put a bunch of them up here, so. Okay.
Sir, could you expound a little bit on the judicial proceedings portion you opened with? I'm sorry,
That's
I'm a
the
little
Senate
confused
committee.
there.
There's a group of committees. In the House, we have 6 committees. The Senate has committees.
Correct.
There's about 15 senators on each committee. Judicial Proceedings has this. The guy's name is Senator Frush. Probably the most liberal person in Annapolis. He does not want you to have guns. He was the guy, I think, behind encoded ammunition a year or 2 ago, where every bullet you put through a gun is going to have a serial number on it, which would cost about $5 a cartridge.
Just trying to do it again?
It's just outrageous. Some of the things these guys come up with in your nightmares, it's just outrageous.
What additional information do you want, sir?
Is judicial proceedings, is that a website of its own?
It's a committee, and there is a
committee,
website
okay.
for that committee. Every committee has a
Okay.
website with the list of who's on it and how you can get in touch with them.
Okay.
That's who your first contact should be with. They probably got the votes to get it out of judicial proceedings. Then it's going to go to the full Senate. That's where they're going to have some trouble, because there's some blue dog Democrats who like to hunt, they like to shoot, they go trap shooting, they go plinking with their kids. If it goes down, that's where it's going to go down, in the full Senate.
That was helpful, thank you.
Yep.
I understand the President of the Senate, Miller, is not for this law.
He likes guns. But a lot of,
Right.
he's not a bad guy when you, in the grand
My
scheme of
understanding
things.
of the workings is that he can just effectively table this bill even if it gets out of committee.
He's not going to do that.
Not
He's-
bring it up for a vote.
He's not
Good.
going to do that. No, he's going to let those guys have their say. If the chairman of a committee has a problem with the bill, they put it in a drawer, they hide it, they don't have to have a reason. If they don't like, if you had a bill that says everybody has to have a gun in Maryland, it goes in the drawer and it never comes out, and nobody can argue that. You can't dispute what a chairman does, you just can't do it. And in fact, the one guy who was against wind in the Senate thinks that everybody's got to have wind. They took him off the committee, and now they got enough votes on that committee that they're probably going to get wind power. Which, not just anecdotally, everybody says it's only going to cost $1.50 a month per ratepayer. Well, there's millions of ratepayers in Maryland at $1.50 a month times 12 months in a year. It's millions and millions and millions of dollars to put an electric motor in the ocean, but they don't understand that. And that's the subsidy that's going to be for wind. It's just, they don't think. So, but any other questions about the guns? Hey, how are you, Sheriff? I didn't see you.
You could get Senator Nancy, but she's pro-gun.
Yeah, there's a couple. Nancy Jacobs is on that committee. There's a fellow, the Western Maryland guy is a hunter. You don't have to worry about him. Chris Shank. Joe Getty hunts. He's out in Hampstead, I think is where he is. So if you see a D after the name, they're the guys you got to write the letters to.
On that committee.
On the R's, you don't got to write to them. They're just fighting the fight every day.
We're short 2 votes on that committee, and as you said, the one gentleman we thought was on the fence apparently is not.
No.
So that's probably going to come out of committee.
Yeah, I think it's going to come out of committee, and then if it dies, it's going to be the whole Senate. And there was somebody yesterday screaming, rightfully so, we know who you guys are on JPR, and we vote. But it didn't seem to bother them. Like you said, they were playing chess. They honestly were playing chess. It's outrageous. It's outrageous.
What a lot of our membership has been doing, if they live in counties where this is can be an issue, they're registering Democrat. They're going to vote in the primaries. Nobody votes in the primaries. They're going to get these guys out in the primaries. They'll go door to door. They're scared of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, up here, we don't have such an issue. I look at my folks in Hartford County, and I'm safe. Everybody's an R, and everybody's pro-gun. I think you guys are probably in the same position. Nancy Jacobs has been wonderful. We couldn't ask for a stronger supporter of the Second Amendment.
Yeah,
She did?
Yeah.
She just bought a new SIG.
Yeah, she showed her well target.
But we're going to approach it that way and try and get the guys we don't like out of office. Maybe put a blue dog Democrat in. Yes, sir.
Are they banning some of the magazines? If they are they banning them when it's not much slower? No longer doing them, I feel like something down on one.
You know, you understand that, but they don't. They are banning certain, or sort of banning certain magazines. They're going to make it illegal to buy and sell magazines that hold more than 10 rounds in Maryland. But you can still go to the neighboring state and buy them. Does that make sense? It doesn't. But
And you can go to Delaware too so far, but they're having hearings too. Pat?
It might behoove us to send some letters to the R's down there to thank them for the support that they're giving us, because they don't have any idea that this meeting's probably even here and that we're here.
Probably not.
They need that sort of communication with us also.
They need
So I
encouragement.
wouldn't just go to the D's, I'd go to the R's.
Yeah. If you're going to send thank you notes, keep them short.
Yes, just
I know
say thanks for your support.
we use an email system through Associated Gun Clubs. It's similar to what they have set up on the state's website, where you can email all your delegates. And in the last, I think it's 2.5 weeks, we've sent out 680,000 emails.
I got most of them.
Yeah. Well, they are select all and off they go. Yeah.
I just wanted to let everybody know that I sent I know there have been some emails sent to our local sheriff here in Cecil County about this, but we haven't had, I didn't get any feedback from him at all in response, and we invited him here tonight, but he's not here. He never got back to me on that issue.
He won't show up, he's not running for re-election.
But there is a sheriff's deputy here, Chris Sutton, so I just wanted to.
Let me just bring up a couple things, and maybe some questions can be directed to you on that basis. First thing is, our website has two things on it. You may want to go down to the Cecil County Patriots or our Facebook page. Too many things. So Cecil County Patriots, and you can go down and you can see the videos that, if you go down maybe about 6 posts, the Times, Washington Times, did a lot of picture taking and a lot of videos, so you can get a feel for what was going on down there. There are some other still pictures above that. The other thing is that even if we quote unquote lose the legislature, do not forget we can do a constitutional petition. Okay? We can throw this bill out. Now, if we go in end of June, I believe, or maybe you know better, the end of June, if we have a certain number of signatures, I think it's 35,000, Delegate Parrott will probably organize it. I've already talked to him about it. That puts, similar to a court injunction on this law, they can't impose it. Then if we get enough to make it a referendum, it again stops it. And if we lose on the referendum, that still means they cannot implement it until November of 2014. Obviously, if we win in the referendum, they can't implement it at all. So Maryland does offer that. You can't do it on tax issues, but you can do it on any other bill. And I just want to mention, I don't know how many people know about constitutional incorporation. The 14th Amendment started incorporation of the amendments. The Second Amendment was not incorporated. Incorporation means the states and the local areas have to follow the federal law. All amendments prior to that, effectively, in the Supreme Court back in the early 1800s, said it only applied to Congress. The Amendment Freedom of Speech wasn't incorporated until 1925. So if you read history and find out horrible things were done prior to that, that's why the law did not apply, the amendment did not apply to the states and the local government. Now it does. So after 2010, we've incorporated it. It's now applicable to Maryland. So now you can argue, as I did last night, that it supersedes state law. So now we've got this friction between federal and state that we didn't have until 2 years ago.
And to add to that, jurisprudence has said the people are under no obligation to follow an unconstitutional law. It is not, in fact, a law at all. The courts are not obligated to uphold it.
But you can still go to jail.
You can still go to jail for it.
Now,
yeah.
If you said you can't petition
taxes.
Well, in this new thing, if you've got a $15 registration fee, they can call that a tax. If you've got $100,
they've tried that before.
Wouldn't that be what would be considered a tax?
If they say you're going to increase your income tax, that's directly one that you can't petition against. And they have tried, and maybe you know about this in the past, saying that certain things were a tax.
Like Obamacare, penalty
well,
tax?
Some of the referendums, I forget which one, whether it was the DREAM Act, but one of them, they tried that approach that it had a tax in it. And I don't know the details of it, but it didn't stop it. So I don't think this one will be stopped on this basis either. Well, let me just say, all laws, regulations are de facto constitutional, which means if they say people over the age of 55 have to go to prison, you'll go to prison. Now, someone's going to sue and they'll say that's unconstitutional. Ask the Japanese. That was a executive order to put the Japanese in internment camps, Japanese American citizens.
Sure, we can all do that as long as everybody sits here and does nothing. But if you take a point to yourself where you'll stand for the Constitution, and that means you individually. You don't need your sheriff to do it. It's not his responsibility. It's us as citizens to do that. And we should demand our county sheriff to uphold the law. He is the high sheriff because he has constitutional authorization. Absolutely. He is the authority of this county. And what really gets me is this, and this is the question I want to ask you. Your organization, does it fight this at the state level, or should we be fighting this at the county level?
You know, it should be fought at every level.
I agree.
We have delegates and senators that, and assembly people and council people that we need to get everybody together.
But ever since I remember this, it's always been done at a state level.
Right.
I think it should be the county. And let me ask the people here, has anybody ever heard of the Constitutional Sheriff's Association? Richard Mack got 258 sheriffs strong and growing. Was there 4,000 members now? Up to 4,000 members?
Of our group?
No, Constitutional Sheriffs.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's something like 35.
But there's a lot of sheriffs that are
counties.
organizing, getting on. Most of us don't realize because we haven't been taught this in school. We haven't been educating any of this. But our founding fathers set this up like moats coming up to a castle. If our legislature that comes down trying to force unconstitutional laws onto the states, and then the states bring them down into the county, it's our responsibilities to ask our sheriffs and the people that swore oaths to our county. It's our responsibility. They swore an oath to God to protect our constitutional rights. And this is my question. Why has this not been done? Why are all the people swearing oaths saying, oh, it's not my responsibility? I'm going to allow the courts to deem what's constitutional and isn't. That is not true. The sheriff knows it. He swore an oath to uphold the Constitution.
I know why. I know why. I know the answer is they want to protect their paychecks, their pensions, and police unions.
Right, they're not going to do your job. They swore an oath to protect it. Now, who's greater than the Constitution? I said this before in this meeting years ago. I don't come here much. You don't see me. But I'm not ignorant either. It is our responsibility to hold our people that are under those oaths, that swear those oaths, to uphold it. If they don't uphold it, it's not their fault, it's ours.
You go on the premise that people outside of this room understand the Constitution. How many people say the government did it, what can I do about it? Nobody calls,
Then that's
nobody
what
goes
this
down.
county, this is what these meetings should be so that we can educate each other and get here and learn.
People don't know they can walk down to Annapolis, go to their representative's office, knock on the door, and talk to him or her. People don't do it. We've had a huge problem with turnout, even with our organization. We have people on the internet, oh, we're going to do this and that. Okay, well, let's all rally, and then 20 people show up.
Right, exactly. That's what happened.
Jackie?
Just to let everybody know, we do I don't know how many people are here from Cecil County. I know there's some people that came up from Hartford County as well, but we meet the first Thursday of every month. And last month we had a speaker on smart meter. So we are trying to address some of these issues. We have people